Hello everyone, welcome back to the Bowers Tribe Facebook Friends Tour. Today is June 1st and this is interview number 29 over the last 3 weeks. So I'm averaging
Holy,
10.
a lot.
It's my excitement and pleasure to introduce my new friend Ann. The way we connected is pretty crazy. I was actually on my interview tour in Ogden and eating at an Italian restaurant that I never go to except like once a year. And she was already there, and then she came up to my table and she's like, "We know each other," and stuff. And I'm like, "Oh," and so it was so fun, and we connected that way. And I've known of her and of you for a couple of years now. I originally met you at Expo, the what was then, I don't know. It's now the Maverick Expo or whatever.
Right.
Arena, whatever. And that was 2 years ago, and it really caught my attention. But I haven't had any interaction with you now until now. So the universe is like flowing fast for me and connecting me with people. And I've had a chance to get acquainted with you over the last 40 minutes, and it's been fun. We have a really fun professional setting here, like real deal Hollywood, like lighting in front of us. So you actually get to see our faces today. So thank you so much for that. So Ann, you talked a little bit about your progression in all the different things you went to. You were in construction before, you were in real estate before, traditional corporate America, and you kind of ignored your natural abilities and things like that. Can you talk a little bit about what that transition was like, going from that life to the life you live today? You can pick any specific area or time frame.
That's kind of a loaded question, I'd
say.
I know. So you're asking the transition from corporate America to today's world. I think it's kind of night and day.
Yeah.
If you look at traditional corporate America, it depends on where you work, I guess. The culture within it, you're supposed to almost act robotic, or you've got to set goals, or it's always about one-upping somebody, to get to the top of the chain, those kind of things.
Yes.
And it's all about the materialistic pursuits, or taking care of our families, those types of things. Today it's all about spirit driven for me. Universe led, I would say. So if the universe thinks I should do it, I do it. And it's just even like meeting you. My partner and I, we looked at ourselves and we thought, I'm like, I know that guy, I don't know why, and I was compelled to go over and say hi to you just simply because I'm like, I couldn't ignore it. I mean, it was just that strong of a prompting,
Absolutely. Now you did mention a little bit about when you were growing up and your natural abilities of different things, hearing stuff. You kind of dampened it down and kind of just put it away. What was that experience like for you to kind of suppress your natural abilities?
I think I always tell people, that it was one of the most common questions I think that I get is that people asking, how can I increase my intuition, or how can I become more psychic, those kind of things. And I always tell them, one, you need to understand why you do the things that you do, because we put up those walls or those blocks, or the other thing is that I don't believe that spirit lives in fear. And so for me, when I dampened it down, I lived a lot of my life in fear. And so, that's a natural block, I think, for people as far as being able to see and get through. I don't think our lives work as well. I believe that we need to live congruently with who we are, not what we do versus who we are. So I don't know if that answers your question or not.
A little bit, like you mentioned, talked about the word, it doesn't feel natural, and so kind of distorts our reality of what kind of
our perception. Right. And it, I think most people today segment their lives into, their spirituality versus, their pursuit of material things, or providing for their families, like I said, or making a living. And I don't believe that they have to be separate. I believe that all things fit underneath the umbrella of spirituality, spiritually lived or led life.
Absolutely. Now you've also met and experienced and went to some pretty big name trainings and things like that. And we talked a little bit about the differences of going through something and getting temporarily motivated, and then it kind of just goes back to normal. Can you talk a little bit about your experience with that, of going through this, like some high energy, high well-known trainings, and then your experience 6 months later?
Well, I mean, like I said, I worked with the Tony Robbins program, and you know, one of the most common things is you get a room packed full of people excited about making change, you know, wanting to better their lives or to achieve those particular goals that they have for themselves, and you know, you build them up to a peak state. You know, we took them through fire walking, you know, achieving some really outrageous things, you know, like jumping from a 50-foot pole suspended in midair, you know, and that those types of experiences.
I've
but
done that.
you know, but what's interesting is that after that peak experience, we're still left with our stinking thinking.
Yes.
You know, so we take all of those books, all of those videos home, put them up on a shelf, and what is left to motivate you to actually pull them down, put them into application, and utilize them to truly change our lives. And so that's kind of where I got into doing coaching and those types of things, simply because I realized that without an accountability partner, it becomes really difficult to gain that leverage or that motivation on ourselves to take the next step.
Absolutely. Now you're also tapping into paranormal activity stuff, and you know a pretty good amount of people that I don't even have a clue who they are in that field. And you have an event that we will be posting below this video that's coming up this month, now that it's June, and it's really exciting looking. What's that transition, or what's that experience been like, interacting with all these individuals in that genre of like paranormal stuff?
I would say it's pretty amazing because I always like that Dirty Dancing, quote. It's like, you can't put baby in a corner.
Yeah.
And I apply that to even like spirit, right? You can't put baby in a corner. So spirit takes all different applications, and each person brings something different that I've been able to learn from, glean from, use it in practical application in my life. I mean, I've been really, like I said, fortunate and blessed to be around some of the industry's greatest, minds or thinkers, and they all come at it from a different angle. So even if you were talking about we talked about Chase Klotsky, who worked for the Department of Defense, who was here last year, and hung out with her, and it does, paranormal investigation research from the research analytical side of it, that type of stuff. Well, that was awesome. I'm like, could sit there and listen to her for days, but each one of them brings something different. And I also like to defer to spirit, that it's like, there's some reason, even like meeting you, that I'm supposed to learn from them, we were talking about, I used to run these complimentary groups for anybody from the public, and they could come in complimentary, free, and I was telling somebody the other day that a gentleman had come in, looked like he was homeless, right? And our preconceived notions is the first thing is, I'm like, well, I'm not sure what that guy could contribute, right?
Yeah.
And sure enough, by the time the group was over, it was that guy that I learned my lesson from that day. Cool. And so I thought that was, I want to say, indicative of how life really is we can't take things at face value. We need to seek out why that person's been brought into our space.
So, as far as like disclosure and different things that potentially are going to be coming up, do you have any wishes or wants of things you would like to see potentially unfold in the reality of the 7+ billion people on this planet, as far as disclosures and different things like that? Is there anything personally you're like, oh, I wish this would come to fruition to the major public? Or awareness?
That's a good question. I mean, are you talking about further enlightenment, or I guess I'm not
like
quite
your personal and you're just like sitting alone and you're like, oh, I hope or wish this, I get to see this in this time in my lifetime.
I would hope that there's not so much negativity and sorrow, hate. There's a whole lot of ugliness that's out there today, and people feed off of it, frankly.
Yeah.
I would wish that we'd be more open and inclusive in our thoughts, our desires, our dreams. It's like, people always say, it's like, I had a friend that was in my office yesterday, and we're actually looking at renting out one of our offices that are here in our building, and he's like, I says, well, if you know anybody that would be a good fit for us here, and he says, I do, but they'd be kind of like your competition. Oh. And I'm like, and I looked at him, I said, they're my competition? Well, yeah, they do what you do. And I'm like, I don't see that as my competition.
Yeah.
I'm like, I believe that there's enough for everybody to go around, and not everybody fits everybody. So I'm like, so how would that be my competition? I'm like,
it'd be like almost like an enhancement.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm like, I think that'd be wonderful. Mm-hmm.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely like to respect everybody's time, and everything that you're about. We'll be posting the link below this video as well as some events coming up. So definitely check those out. So, Ann, I'm grateful that the universe put us together. So
Absolutely.
Now that we are officially in the same space, would it be safe to say that we now know each other in real life? We're not just friends on Facebook.
Absolutely. I think this is totally awesome, and I respect what you're doing. I think that's a really neat way to bring people together.
Well, definitely check out what Ann's doing. This is good stuff. Like she said, it's about bringing people together in circles that are not currently maybe hanging out or talking or even know each other exists. So definitely spread the word with Ann and everybody else on the tour.
See you on the next street corner.
Okay, sounds good.